Good morning and welcome to Church at Home with Rachael for Wednesday, the 3rd of November. This morning, I'd like to just talk to you a little bit about letting things go. For those of you who know me well at all, you'll know I'm a nervous Nelly. I get anxious about things and I stew on them and worry and all those things. And I know I shouldn't do that. I tell everybody all the time, don't do that. And yet, here I go. However, lately, I think maybe because I'm getting older, I'm beginning to realize how ridiculous worrying is and how we need to go with the flow. Worrying, of course, will change nothing in the future except make us dread it happening. And we sometimes will actually bring into effect the things that we worry about. And the fact is that worrying can't help us right now. We can't change what's going to happen tomorrow or even in 10 minutes. If there are things that we can do to change things, then we should do them. But if we're worried about something, then chances are we really haven't got something we can do to fix them, or we wouldn't be worried. But that being said, we have to let it go. And that got me thinking. I was standing outside yesterday in the sunlight on the back deck, watching dude do his thing, playing with his frisbee and just wandering around in the backyard. And I got looking at the trees in our neighbor's yard. We don't have any trees in our yard. But our neighbor has a few stands of trees, and I can't remember what kind of tree it is, but it quivers. It's very pretty. It always looks like, even when there's no breeze, it looks like it's kind of shaking. And last year, speaking of shaking, dude just moved the table. Last year, the leaves didn't fall until like the middle of the winter. We got our first snow so quick, and they just sort of hung on for a really long time. And eventually, I think the wind and the weight of the snow pulled them off. But this year, it's been cold enough and windy enough that the leaves are falling. And as I was watching the dude and watching in the backyard, I watched as one of the final leaves fell off the tree. It sort of came apart and then just gently fell to the ground. And it got me thinking about, why is it that we see a tree lose its leaves in the fall? We don't get worried. We don't get upset and think, oh, it's such a tragedy that this has happened and it's lost its leaves and never will that leaf have life again. We don't think that way, do we? Because we know that come the spring, that tree in all of its creation and all of its health will sprout new leaves, and the same tree, but a new set of leaves will come and a new sense of life will come. And really, that's what our lives are like as well. We live through the seasons, and we come through the winter where we've been sort of hibernating. We sort of regroup, we slow down, and we take time to just take care of ourselves. And in the spring, new life begins. We have new ideas and new opportunities, and we feel like with coming of Easter, we feel the lengthening of the days, the strengthening of the lights of the sun's rays, and it brings out of us new growth and opportunities and a sense of being called into something new. And in the summer, we soak in the sun, and we learn, and we continue to become stronger and to gobble up all that vitamin D from the sun and appreciate being out of doors and living in God's creation. And in the fall, we kind of begin to hunker down. We take care of ourselves. We take care of our gardens. We get ready for the coming of the winter. And we let some things fall away. And then we enter into winter, a time of quiet and time of recuperating. And we start all over again in the spring. Well, in the fall of our lives, if we think of it more so rather than just simply seasons in a year, but thinking about our whole lives, in the fall of our lives, it's a time, for most people, it's a time of their greatest maturity. That time in their lives when they recognize that God really is in control of everything, and there's no need to worry. We don't have things. We don't need to be concerned about what's going to happen tomorrow. What will happen tomorrow will happen. And we will go with it. We'll roll with it. We will handle whatever comes because God will be with us, guiding us and directing us. But right now, in this moment, in this fall, we have to allow ourselves to let things fall away and not bemoan them. Yes, we can take time to remember and think about how beautiful those leaves were in the summer, providing us with shade and the beautiful color of the leaves as they turned in the fall. But as they fall away, we have to recognize that this is part of God's plan. Letting things go, letting them fall away from us in their season of fall, in preparation for a season of hibernation, of recuperation, of getting ready to move forward. Letting things go, like that falling leaf. Watching that leaf fall, I was able to see it sort of almost like it was in slow motion as it quivered back and forth on the wind and raised up for a second when the wind picked up and then gently dropped to the ground and just settled in, kind of like it was nestling in for a nap. And realizing that even in the falling away, falling from the tree, that leaf was beautiful and it was doing exactly as it was made to do. And isn't that what our lives are like? There are plenty of things in our lives that we have to let go. The leaves in our lives that we have to let fall. And some of them might be plucked away from us, like a strong wind pulling them off the tree that is us. And some of them will just fall away when it's time. And it's not our role, our job, to try to grab them back and stick them back on our branches. We have to trust that when something falls away, or when God says it is time for that idea or that person or that situation to fall away from us, we have to let it go. We can watch and we can appreciate the beauty of it. We can remember what it brought into our lives or what we contributed to its life. But there's time for us, a season for all things, a time to let it go. And so in this season of my life, having turned 50 and really thinking about what is life about, who am I called to be, what is God expecting me to do, and what I hope will be the last half of my life, because I have no plans to kick the bucket before I hit 100. I used to want to be 120. I'm not so naive to think that that might happen, but I'd like to see the century mark happen. But all that being said, I'm recognizing that this time of my life, I'm learning how to let things go. I'm learning how to trust God. That those things that are removed from my life, maybe those old dreams that I once had that are, they're simply dreams. They weren't meant to come about. Maybe those were mine and not God's. Because the things that are of God are still there. The things that God had chosen for my life are still there. And it's time that I let go of those things that distract me from God. Some of them I could give a good shake and they could all fall off right now and that would be just fine. And others of them I'm a little bit reluctant to go, and I'll sit back and I'll take some time to watch them go. And I'll think about what they meant in my life and appreciate and give thanks for what they have been and what they open me up to. For with every falling leaf comes the opportunity for a new bud to form. Everything that has been in my life that didn't pan out or has ended or has changed significantly isn't a death in that it's gone forever, but it's an opportunity for rebirth and that it makes room for something new. So just as I watch that leaf fall from the tree, knowing that come the spring, new buds will come and replace it, and a new kind of beauty will be seen in that tree as it comes into its fullness in time, so too do the things that we let go make room for the beautiful things of life that God has already planned for us. From before we were even in the womb, God had them planned. So as you go about your day and as you go about your fall season, take some time to think about and appreciate the things that have fallen away, that God has said, this time is over, and think about and dream about what God will do to replace that. Where it has fallen away and opened up a space, what might replace it? What might fill up that space in the time to come? If we trust God, we will find out that we are ever increasingly more beautiful in the things that God replaces the old things with. We are creations of God, for whom God has said it is very good. So let's appreciate that and live into the dreams that God has for us. Live into the buds that God will grow on our branches as we continue our lives. Have a great day. God bless you. And I will see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachael.